Coming up on this week's travel show.
Iceland without the ice. How a changing climate is affecting the landscape. Ben gets some tips on how to vogue like a pro in New York.
Take him over. Boom.
And Alex leaves his wheelchair behind as he takes a trip up the mast of a very special sailing ship.
Hang on, I'm stuck. Hello and welcome to the Travel Show with me, Adi Adepitan, and this week we're kicking off in Iceland.
It's a country famous for its natural beauty, but as Kat Mo has been finding out, things there are changing.
We've all seen it on the covers of magazines and the footage of nature documentaries. Stunning images of the landscapes from which Iceland takes its name. But these glaciers are more fragile than they may seem, and they have a story fit for a storyteller.
There was an immense crack. The ensuing earthquake was greater than any experienced since man first walked the planet. My name is Andrei Magnason. I'm a writer. I live in Iceland. I have written children's books, poetry, plays, science fiction and non-fiction. We are in an example of what has to happen to all coal-fired power stations in the world. And I'm a part of a group to make like a creative place out of it.
And what's your connection to glaciers?
So my connection to glaciers is more through my grandparents. My grandparents were founding partners of the Icelandic Glacial Research Society, and they went on a glacial honeymoon in 1956 for 3 weeks, and they were stuck in the tent in a blizzard, and I asked them when I was a child, weren't you cold? And they said, cold, we were just married. And I was like, I didn't understand how you get warm when you get married, but I found out later. This has been kind of family mythology. Our brave grandmother, kind of a pioneering woman on the glacier. But if I had written 20 years ago that glaciers would melt in a lifetime of a single human being, that would have been sci-fi at the time. While now it's not sci-fi anymore, it's just science. Hi.
Andre.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kat.
Welcome to my power station.
Well, thanks. It's not every day I get invited to a power station. So these are your grandparents.
This is my grandparents. This is Iceland's highest peak. This is 2,119 meters. And
Grandma's not even wearing a coat, is she?
no, it's good weather there.
So I slightly interrupted you. Can I help you hang these up?
Yeah, please help me. So I'm kind of choosing what photos I would like to use in my book.
I'll pop this one up here. Andre, how does looking at these photos make you feel?
Well, they've always made me feel, nostalgic, proud. But they're also a slice section of time. That is, this is the first generation that was able to enjoy glaciers. Mm-hmm. And we only have 3 generations that will live that period. So then the glaciers will go. And after 300 years, these photos will be totally alien to that generation, especially in Iceland, when the ice has left Iceland.
When the ice has left Iceland.
Yeah.
Andre wanted to take me somewhere to show me just how quickly the landscape is changing. About 10% of Iceland is covered in glaciers, But glaciologists now believe that all of Iceland's glaciers will be gone in just 200 years. We meet a guide to help navigate us on a long walk high up into the clouds.
Here are the colors replacing the flowers. Here are the bulbs replacing the stars. Here are the brands replacing the species. Here are the freezers replacing the glaciers. This is the eye of the storm. The reason for everything is right here in my cart.
So Andrew, tell me about where we're standing right now.
Now we're standing by this memorial plaque that is where Oak Glacier used to stand. So 50 meters above us should have been an ice sheet that was here 30 years ago, but has now completely vanished, and we only have like these remains of dead ice around us.
5 years ago, when Oak Glacier was no longer heavy enough to lift itself up and move, it was declared dead. The amount of ice here has decreased dramatically. Researchers from Rice University in America recently drew attention to the loss. They approached André to write the inscription for the plaque commemorating the dead glacier.
It's a strange situation because how do you memorize the sky or something? It's like something big, firm, eternal, and it points in two directions. It points from here to the future, and then it points from the future back to us.
Will you read me what you wrote?
Yes. So here it says, a letter to the future. Oak is the first Icelandic glacier to lose its status as a glacier. In the next 200 years, all our glaciers are expected to follow the same path. This monument is to acknowledge that we know what is happening and what needs to be done. Only you know if we did it. August 2019, 415 parts per million of CO2. That's the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere and actually the cause of the melting glacier. And that is rising about 2 to 3 ppm every year.
But still, hundreds of glaciers remain here. I left André and went with my guide to Sólheimajökull Glacier, the icy tongue of Iceland's fourth largest glacier, which covers nearly 600 kilometers square. It's also suffering under global warming. Leifa runs carbon neutral tours here. Do you think it's necessarily a good thing to encourage tourists to come to places where it might be their last chance to see it? And that's just not just here, but anywhere around the world. Isn't that just making a bad situation even worse?
I think you can always question to fly and to travel. But if you do, either if it is to Spain or if it is to Iceland, then at least I think it's good that people are educated about nature, about glacier behavior and how global warming is affecting the glaciers.
But step down from the glacier to its lagoon and here you can find a whole new perspective. You can actually see how quickly the ice is melting. Look at all the water just dripping down into the lake. While a certain amount of meltwater each year is normal, it's the rate of loss at glaciers like this that's unsustainable. So Leif, how deep is this?
Just closer to the glacier is about 60 meters deep.
Has it changed much in the time that you've been coming here?
Oh yes, enormously. The lake didn't exist. It's just recent, it's just 10 years old.
This lake is 10 years old?
Yes. Then it was just starting to form, like in 2007, as a tiny pool. And then now the glacier is melting back like 100 meters per year. First I found it really interesting and to be living in a land where where you can see the changes. But then it's, when you see it in this scale, it's frightening and it's a little bit sad. And I have a gift for you.
What's the gift?
Treasure's gift. A rare diamond. Yeah. And inside there is a trapped air that have been there for hundreds of years.
That is incredible. It is so clear, isn't it? It's crazy. The ice may be beautiful, but it's a stark reminder that unless something changes soon, seeing and experiencing Iceland's iconic glaciers is a privilege that few further generations will have the chance to enjoy.
Well, stay with us because there's plenty more to come on this week's programme.
Ben is in New York for a voguing lesson.
Take him over. Boom.
And we rejoin Alex on the second part of his adventure at sea. And this time, he leaves his wheelchair behind to get a truly bird's eye view.
So don't go away. Back in the early 90s, Madonna had a huge global hit with her single Vogue. Well, almost 30 years on, and it looks like voguing is back. So we sent Ben Hunt to New York to learn some attitude. This one should be good.
Voguing has impacted me in so many ways. Before I started voguing, I was a less confident person than I am now. It's helped me break out of my shell and be more expressive, not be afraid to be like, boom, this is me.
Voguing, a dance, a culture, and for many, a lifeline. Originally born out of the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s, through time, voguing became a form of expression for a sometimes marginalized community. Most voguers were LGBT people of color, and the surrogate houses and families at the center of the subculture provided a vital support when the HIV pandemic hit in the late 80s. The dance poses were inspired by fashion runways and magazines, hence the name Vogue. And during balls, members of the different houses came together to compete against one another. Today, lessons are popping up everywhere, and I'm off to pick up some moves.
Hello.
Hey man, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good, welcome.
Thank you.
So I got our Vogue Essentials class today that we're gonna be doing here at Gibney. So, blade,
Yep.
blade, and I'm pushing, just like you're pushing through like some fudge or sludge, it's like heavy.
Yeah.
V-spring, yep.
Okay.
Trying to show it. Look at me, I'm on my throne now, I'm showing it off. Boom.
Boom.
That's why your hands are here, so it's framing that face. From
Yep.
here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ooh,
Yeah.
jeans are a little bit tight.
I know, mine are too, don't worry. Voguing, what is voguing? $1 million question. Really short, voguing is telling your story through poses and movements. 1, 2, 3, up. The same thing I got, which was the love of dance, the love of Vogue. I want you to take this love and take it home and then go from there.
Voguing is now more popular than ever before. Hit TV shows like RuPaul's Drag Race and Pose have pushed this unique dance form into the spotlight once again. But to really understand voguing's history, I'm heading back to where it all began, Harlem.
This is the Imperial Elks Lodge, home ballroom until about 1988, so it's 80s ballroom. This was our church, it was our political rally, it was our worship, it was our fun, it was our protection.
And what type of people came here? What brought them together?
Trans folks created this. In fact, only trans people were participating in drag balls for almost 50 years before ballroom. People being kicked out of their homes, kicked out of their families because of being LGBT and those kinds of things, but also The notion of being kicked out of family is also kicked out of your black family or your Latino family.
Sadly, today, spaces for LGBT youth are sometimes still rare, but sexual health charities often host what are known as Kiki balls. Predominantly for a younger generation of voguers, these balls help to bring people to their services.
What does all of this mean? Like, is there any social meaning to it?
It's a way of life, honestly speaking, because this is something that we naturally do. This is our kinship, this is how we party, this is how we come together, like, this is who we are.
Luckily, the rise in popularity of voguing means there are balls and classes all over New York City where anybody is welcome.
7 and go!
Back in class, it's time for my big moment.
Okay, so I've learned the key elements of Vogue. So now we're gonna put it all together into a routine, which I'm gonna flop. It's gonna be horrific, but you know what? It's fine, because as long as it's fashion, ew.
In the words of Madonna, I was ready to let my body move to the music. But I don't think I'll be winning any trophies anytime soon.
Take him over. Boom, boom. And freeze!
This is everything.
Okay, bro, I wouldn't give up your day job just yet. You need to work on that. Well, to finish off this week's travel show, we're going to head off to sea. Because if you were watching last week, you'll remember Alex setting sail on a ship that invites disabled people and able-bodied people to sign up as crew for 3 or 4 days. Now they're out on the high seas, so let's see how they got on.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
Good, thank you. I'm going back to bed now.
After a stormy and pretty sleepless night at sea, it's time for breakfast with my shipmates in the mess. It's called happy hour, where everyone works hard and washes, makes everything spick and span, except I've lost my team and what I'm meant to be doing.
Many years ago, we had a young lad come on Lord Nelson, and he had multiple cirrhosis, and he didn't get out of the car. He was helped out of the car by his mother and father, popped in a wheelchair, and we pulled him up the gangway. After 2 weeks on air, he walked off the ship, right, with the help of the sticks. Didn't want his chair, and his mother and father couldn't believe it. And that's why we run. That's why we do what we do.
On the final day, the beautiful weather gave me the chance to do something that I've been looking forward to, but also secretly dreading: climbing the ship's mast. Luckily, I'm not going first though. It's kind of amazing. In fact, it is mad. Go on, Neil. Oh, God.
For some of the folk who don't quite get what we do to start with, this is the point where generally they all get it.
Delighted for.
And you know how hard it is, you just did it.
Yeah. It looks a lot easier than it is, but it's 10 times harder than you could even imagine.
Oh my God, you're amazing. You're so cool. How do you feel? How do you feel?
Great.
Great. Are you scared?
No.
You're amazing.
Right, you're definitely going to be the best at this, Alex, because you've seen it like
Am
4
I?
times now.
Well, I'm glad you have confidence. I feel like I'm dancing here.
Lowering back down and under.
He's not dancing back. I don't think he's interested. Oh,
I've watched it all morning.
I'm excited now.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get it done. I'll say that now, though. I mean, once I'm halfway up, I might change my mind.
I'm just going to rest that there.
This is the handle. You're going to have the grip towards you.
Yeah.
Okay. And basically, it slides up the rope.
Yeah.
But when you pull down, it grips and it will pull.
I'm stuck. I'm not really. There you go. I can't really explain it. Yeah, like it's hard work out there, but if you're up there, my God, it's amazing. It's like you're a bird. You can see everything. It's weightlessness as well, so you're just free. And I've never had that ever. And it's really, really high. Just to make that point clear, it's very high up, but it's very nice. I didn't want to come down, but it was beautiful.
You want to do it again?
I'll go again now, yeah, guys? Yeah, is that right, yeah? After almost a week at sea, finally landed inside our destination, Poole Harbour. You can see land. I miss land quite a bit. Overall though, it's actually been amazing. It's been hard, as I keep saying, but it's been worth it. As a person who's in a chair, especially in my case, it's often quite hard to explore. As a kid, I kind of had to ask other people for that help, and you kind of have to imagine things, and that's why I would write books and things, or read books and have ideas. I couldn't really do it, so I had to write it. But then here it's quite nice because you actually go on board, you get to do that stuff and go on the seas, which is lovely. I've been up a mast, which I don't do every day, so that was actually amazing, really. I mean, I've never ever thought I could do that.
Well, that's it for this week. Coming up next week,
Krista is in Greece to join a dig uncovering some amazing historical finds.
Found an artifact! Okay, check that out if you can, but don't forget you can follow us on social media too. But for now, from me, Adia Depitan, and all the Travel Show team, it's goodbye.